Okay, thank you. I'm going to talk about technology. A lot of, well, not a lot of, but some of the things that Taryn has already mentioned uh, kind of go hand in hand what I'm going to talk about. I just wanted to, I guess, comment on one of the things that Taryn mentioned in one of her slides, and that kind of resonated with what I've been reading about recently. Specifically, she, I think, in one of the slides, she mentioned that one of the ways to build a sense of community in class among the learners is by allowing them to lead. And that made me think about a learner autonomy. And there is a lot of talk in literature on SLA literature recently about the importance of developing learner community, especially in online environments where the opportunities for perhaps monitoring learners' work are not as maybe as available as they are in the face-to-face classroom. And developing a learner autonomy gives a number of advantages, but one of the advantages is that learners sorry, I guess I forgot what I wanted to. Gosh, I lost the train of thought. But anyway, the idea is that we need to think about the development of learner autonomy and give the learners flexibility and opportunities to take responsibility and be accountable for their own learning. But at the same time, monitor the learning, I guess, especially in the context of learner-learner interaction, to see if they need any additional scaffolding from the instructor. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the technology for learner-learner interaction, and as I said, Taryn has already covered some of the things. Learner-learner interaction is also called peer interaction. So if you look at the literature, sometimes people talk about peer interaction, by which they mean learner-learner interaction. So technology in learner-learner interaction that is used in learner-learner interaction can be used for different purposes. It can enhance or enable the negotiation of meaning, provide opportunities to learners to experiment with the language, opportunities for practicing language, correcting the language, doing even language assessment. There is, talking about the language assessment, actually, one of the things that has just come to my mind, and I wasn't really thinking about talking about it, but I think it might be relevant, is the idea of, probably many of you have heard about the idea of flipped classroom, where the content is given to learners to learn at home, and they come to class to practice and use the language, the content that they've learned. There is also, I've heard about this idea of flipped assessment, where instructors instructors involve their learners in the process of deciding how their performance in class will be assessed. So I've heard about this presentation. I've heard this presentation where the presenter was talking about giving students an opportunity to decide how their learning is going to be assessed. So, for example, it can be done by discussing or collaboratively making a decision about how each assignment is going to be assessed, like how many, for example, percent, or what is the percentage that students are going to get for each assignment in class, but also actually giving an opportunity to students to do the self-assessment of the assignments that they submit, and then have the final grade for that assignment to be some sort of a weight, like an average between the instructors and the students' grade. And if there is a big discrepancy, then have a discussion with the student and try to resolve the discrepancy. Why, for example, the student thought that his or her work was A quality work, and the instructor gave C. So that's an interesting concept. I do not know exactly how it would work in an online class where you don't have really face-to-face interaction with students. But it's something. One of the ideas that is out there. So the technology in learner-learner interaction has a number of benefits. It can be used to by the learners to provide oral or written peer feedback on each other's work. It can be the feedback that the learners receive from others can be revised. So the learners can use this feedback to revise their work. They can also use the revision history to gain insights into their peers' writing process. I guess I'm talking about the revision history specifically in the context of written assignments. So if you think, for example, about Google Docs, where you can go and take a look at the revision history, see how the content in the document has been developed over time. So by looking at the revision history, learners can kind of learn from their peers to see how their writing process worked. And it can also give the teachers an insight into the learners' writing process, how they have developed whatever they wrote. Then another advantage is that students' work learners' work can be enhanced with multimedia. They can have a real audience for whatever they produce in the target language. So think, for example, about an article that the students produce in the target language that they have written, for example, for Wikipedia. I know some instructors do that. They give an assignment to students to, for example, identify a topic that is not covered in Wikipedia in the target language and write collaboratively an article that they would post on Wikipedia. Then another advantage is that technology can create or allow to create this learner-centered learning environment in an online course. Okay, there are also challenges related to the use of technology in learner-learner interaction. One of them is the limited context for skilled peer feedback and input. So when learners are engaged in interaction with each other, unless there are learners of really different proficiency levels, oftentimes they would have the proficiency of approximately the same level, and they might not be able to provide skilled peer feedback or target-like input to their peers. It's also a challenge to design communicative tasks for learner-learner interaction that promote both the focus on meaning and focus on form. So focus on grammatical features, but also focus on the language use, like focus on, for example, on pragmatics. Another challenge is related to the distribution of roles and monitoring of learners' work. So if we want to build this learner autonomy, help students develop the sense of learner autonomy in an online class, then on the one hand, it definitely makes sense to give flexibility to the learners, to let them choose like who does what in a specific task that is an example of a learner-learner interaction. But at the same time, as instructors, we have to monitor learners' work, and as I mentioned earlier today, see if there are any if students need any scaffolding. And the last challenge is related to technical skills. Students might not have sufficient technical skills to successfully complete a task. So if, for example, you use a tool that maybe requires, if there is a learning curve associated with learning how to use that tool, then that would have a negative impact on students' completion of the task. All right, so some of the tools that I wanted to, briefly talk about today are, Taryn already mentioned some of these, but I roughly divided them into these four categories. One of them is concept mapping tools, tools for collaborative writing and peer feedback, virtual boards, and video conferencing tools. So let's go to the first one. Concept mapping tools are the tools that can enable learners, I guess, at especially initial stages of some big projects, during the learner-learner interaction, to do some brainstorming, to plan a project, to for example divide the roles in a project. One of such concept mapping tools is Sketchboard. Let me see if I can actually open it. There is a link that I put with examples. They have a gallery of different sketchboards that have been created by other users. Let's see, sketchboard.me.
So Russ, you might need to click the follow me checkbox up at the top of the screen so that everyone can start clicking independently. Okay.
I did, yeah. I got to the home page, but whatever I click on the website doesn't seem to be clickable. I assume it's because it's embedded in Blackboard Collaborate. I don't know. Strange. But can everyone see the sketchboard, like the homepage, sketchboard.io? Okay. Yeah, if you open sketchboard.io in your browser, I know I'm clicking, but nothing happens really. I can't really click on anything. But if you open, or if you can click on this page within Blackboard, then if you go to sketch something, it will open the actual sketchboard where you can create a sketchboard. Or if you go to examples in the navigation menu in the top right corner, you will see examples of different sketchboards that have been created by other people. It has both a free version that is somewhat limited, has some limited functionality, and also a version with more features, but you have to pay for it. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm clicking it, nothing happens. But you have the link, so if you want to learn more about Sketchboard, you can go and play around with it. A good thing about Sketchboard is that it doesn't require an installation. You can basically, it's a web-based tool. So what you basically do is you create a sketchboard, you get a URL, and you can share that URL with the students so that they can use that sketchboard to collaborate. All right, so I'll move from Sketchboard to another tool. So for collaborative writing and peer feedback, Taryn has already mentioned Google Docs. I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar with Google Docs. There is a whole suite of apps in Google Drive that you have if you have a Gmail account. Google Docs, which is an equivalent of Microsoft Word, I would say, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and many others. There is also, just in case Gmail is blocked in your school or is not allowed, there is another tool that you can use for collaborative writing and peer feedback, which is called Etherpad. It's etherpad.org. Let me see if I can open it. It's more limited than Google Docs, for example, but well, let's see. But it allows to do some very simple collaborative writing. Okay, it's loading. Does Sketchboard support foreign languages? Katya, the thing is that it's yeah, I do not know if you can. I'm pretty sure you can type in a foreign language if you change the if you use a keyboard in whatever language you need. But I haven't tried it, so I don't really know. I assume it should be possible. Okay, can you see now a kind of a Word-like editor with some text? and it says welcome to Etherpad.
I tried copying the URL for the site that you're at and opening it in a separate window, but all we get is unauthorized 403.
That is strange. Well, I assume it might be related to the fact that we're doing this through Blackboard Collaborate. Or you got, okay, Taryn, yeah, I think, yeah, so you got the link to work in the browser. I think it's because I'm trying to do this through Blackboard Collaborate, and actually now I just have a spinning wheel. Everything froze. All right, I guess I'm just going to describe this. So it's a basic kind of word editor, and all you do is you go to the website, click create an Etherpad, you get a URL, and you can share that URL with your students. And students can go there and type in the text. So it's kind of a wiki-like environment that you can use to develop written content. Yeah, let me see if I can. Okay, I got the wheel of death. I can't even go back now to the slides. Bridget, I think I'll have to probably reload my Blackboard Collaborate, so I'll have to leave you guys for a minute or so because it's all frozen.
Sure, Russ, that's not a problem.
Okay, I'll be back soon. Sorry, I guess I cannot do anything.
Amongst yourselves.
Okay, so while we're waiting for Russ to come back, let's revisit the whiteboard, and maybe we can talk about some of these strategies that we do ourselves. So he was talking about using Google Docs. Have any of you used Google Docs or Forms or spreadsheets or slides in your teaching? I often use Google Slides because you can actually embed them into your. I actually embed them into the announcement feature in my course, and so I give my students a little slideshow, and then I give them some audio to go along with the slideshow.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, Russ, you're back.
Oh, yeah, I'm back. All right, sorry about these technical issues. All right, but Bridget, can you make me a moderator? Because I don't think I can. I cannot navigate the slides.
There you go.
All right, thanks. All right, so again, yeah, Google Docs would probably definitely be my choice. Etherpad is a lot more limited in terms of functionality, but just in case, as I said, if you, for example, your school blocks Gmail, which I assume might be possible, or if you're in China, for example, you don't have access to Gmail unless you have VPN, then Etherpad might be a good tool for collaborative writing and peer feedback. Another set of tools, I guess, can be labeled as virtual boards, and the one I would like to show is called Twidla. Let me see if I can open it again. So Twidla is it's like an online whiteboard. Just a second. It's doing a weird thing. All right. Yeah, we have some problems with opening. Okay. All right. Well, I just went to the homepage. So it's a web-based whiteboard. They call it a meeting playground. We call it a virtual board. What it basically does, I hope you can see. Can you see the Twidla page that I opened? I hope you can. So I'll just go and create a new meeting. So it's a very easy to use tool, you just go to twiddler.com, you click on Start a New Meeting, and it creates a URL for a room where I have actually lots of guests right now somehow, and I assume these are not you. So it's basically a whiteboard where you can do lots of different things. You can use this space as a whiteboard, or your learners can use to draw things, to write things. You can actually also use it like a sketchboard where you do some brainstorming. You can create a flow chart for a project or anything like that. Also, what you can do in Twiddler is you can bring in the content from other websites or from images, or even upload PDF files and annotate them. So if you have, for example, an activity where you want the learners to collaborate on something, like you want them to, for example, go to the website and do some sort of like exploration, and then write some sort of a summary. They can do it through Twiddler. They can open the website in Twiddler, and they can write some annotations, some comments on the website, which will appear as basically an annotated web page. And it can be saved. If you have a free version of Twiddler, I guess all you can do to save is to basically just take a screenshot of it. If you have a paid version, you can save it in different formats. Interestingly, Twiddler also has an Etherpad built in. If you see the third icon in the top menu, so it's a built-in Etherpad, so they can also do collaborative writing inside of Twiddler. And once you switch from, for example, whiteboard to Etherpad, it clears whatever content has been created. So if I go to Etherpad right now, I think I got a Wheel of Death again. Oh boy. I guess I'll have to reload Blackboard Collaborate again. I can't do anything. It all froze. Sorry. Okay, I'll be back in less than a minute. Oh, Taryn, yeah, that's good to know. I guess I'll probably not open anything else. I'll just show the links, and I'll talk about that. Okay, I hope I'm back. Okay, good. Sorry again, guys. Lots of technical issues today. So that's Twiddler. Yeah, take a look at it if you're not familiar with it. It's a pretty nice tool, easy to use. And I'll try to go back to the slides if Bridget gives me the moderator's access. Bridget, are you there?
Yeah, you should have moderator access now.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, so that was Twiddler, and the last thing I would like to show is a video conferencing tool. So Taryn has mentioned a bunch of tools that are out there. Blackboard Collaborate, which we're using right now, WebEx, Adobe Connect, lots of web conferencing tools. Most of them are, however, you have to pay for. Skype can be used as a good alternative, but it doesn't have features like breakout rooms and things like that. Another tool that I personally find quite useful is Appearin. And Appearin is a web-based video conferencing tool that does not require any installation or any registration. You can basically just go to appear.in, create a name for your room. What I did, I created a room called OLP 2015, and there can be up to 8 people in the room for free. So I think this tool can be used for can be, for example, a good alternative for breakout rooms. So what you can do is you can create several rooms for your students. So let's say you teach a class of 15 students, right? And you want them to work in groups of 4 or so. So you would create 4 groups, get the URLs for those groups in, not groups, rooms in Appear-In, and then during the class tell students to go to a specific room that was assigned to them. So we can try to test it if you want to. As I said, we can have up to 8 people, but if you go to your browser, I guess, outside of Blackboard Collaborate, and type in Appear-In /OLP 2015, you should be able to see me. I see someone connected. It says audio only. If you have a, okay, I see more people are connecting. Hi, Steven.
Hi there.
All right. No one else, I guess, is trying to connect. But anyway, this is another tool that is easy to use, and I recommend looking into it because it's free and really simple to set up. Okay. Any questions about the tools that I've talked about? Yes, the Appear-In definitely, yeah. Well, as any tool that uses audio or video, it will ask you to give permission to use your camera and mic. So you need to enable those in order to be able to use tools like Appear-In. Right, so those were all the slides I had for today. Okay, someone posted a question, let me look. If one wanted to set up multiple Appear-In at once for small groups of students, it would be tricky to manage. Well, it's basically similar to, I guess, breakout rooms in like Adobe Connect or Blackboard Collaborate, where you, as an instructor or as a person who set up the rooms, can go from one room to another and see what the students are talking about. So with Appear-In, it's going to be video, audio only. I don't think there is an opportunity to share text or anything like that. But you can go there as an instructor and kind of eavesdrop. It does not record, as far as I know, but if you need, yeah, that's kind of I guess a limitation. But you can use like if you're on a Mac, you can use a QuickTime Player to record the screen if you need to archive those discussions, or you can ask your students to record their discussion online. Yes, the free version of Appear-In allows only for up to 8 people. If you want more people to be in the video conference at once, then you have to get a paid account. I think of Appear-In as a tool for small group work. So as I said, like if you have access to a tool, and yeah, I agree with Steven that having more than 8 people in a video conference at once is a recipe for trouble, especially if it's, I guess, if you're giving students some task, some group work, having more than, I don't know, from my experience, I find it a lot more challenging, difficult to manage groups that have more than 4 or 5 people in them. So 8 is kind of, yeah, I think it's plenty for small group work. If you want to use, Appear-In for like something like what we do right now for teaching synchronously, teaching an online course, and you have 15 students, then the free account will definitely not work because of the 8 student limitation. But the quality of the video is very good, and as I said, it doesn't need any setup. You just go, create a URL for the room, and that's all we need, and that's all your students need, just the URL. So I think I was in the process of answering a different question, or maybe not.